Congrats, Jason Saltzman. You are the winner for last week's giveaway. Enjoy your book.
Another week, another list of the hottest comic books in the comic book market. We do this every single 7 days, comic fam, so hit that subscribe button and say hi to my good friend Jem from GemMintCollectibles.
What's going on, Comic Tom? Actually, last week we took a week off and we just kind of analyzed the books that we've been talking about for the last few months. But yeah, you're going to get a video every week, and this list has a lot of changes, a lot of shakeups. I'm excited to get into it.
Be sure to check out that quarter review video. And let's jump into this list at number 10. We have, shockingly, Miles Morales starting out this list. I think for the first time since we started covering it, this book has dropped to this extent. We have the Djevik 1 in 25 variant, and we have prices $300 down from average. We have a 9.6 that would typically go for right around the $4,500 mark, selling for $4,300. Here's the curious thing, comic fam, and Jem, I would love to know your opinions about this. Although $4,300 is only a few $100s shy of the record, there was the same grade, a 9.6 CBCS graded book that sold for $2,800 just September 25th. Now, I'm curious, what do you think of that premium that buyers are spending on CGC graded comics?
Yeah, what do I think about the premium? I think CGC is the first company to come out there grading comics, the innovator of this whole hobby. Everybody always asks me, what do I think about CBCS? And I think they're a great, reputable company, but the numbers don't lie, and collectors pay a premium for the CGC book, the same grade. It just commands more. However, that's an opportunity, man. Somebody could potentially crack and send that book to CGC. If it hits the same grade, you're looking at a big return on your investment.
And traditionally, CBCS has stricter grading policies, so that may be a risk worth taking. Let's take a look at some 9.2 record breakers this week. We actually saw traditionally a $2,100 sale about this time last month for this book at 9.2. Now we're seeing two different records, one at $2,200 and one at $2,350. Clearly, buyers are favoring blue chip comics as well as holding on to their Miles Morales keys because they're not selling near as much, which is likely why this price is continually going down.
Coming in at number 9 is Star Wars 42, and I'm pretty sure this is a book that I called when we first started doing these videos because I saw how Star Wars The Clone Wars number 1 was selling, how Dr. Aphra was selling, with Mandalorian Season 2 on the horizon. People are putting a lot of stock into Star Wars key issues, so why wouldn't they go to the original Marvel series and get the first appearance of Boba Fett, Darth Sidious, Bosk, and even IG-88, who was unnamed in that comic. Now, this was traditionally a $500 book in 9.8, but we've got some record-breaking sales. We're looking at an all-time record sale of $1,549 just this week. And it makes sense. You have two big players in this comic, Boba Fett, Emperor Palpatine, and Star Wars madness on everyone's minds.
You even have Yoda's first full appearance in this book, and I'll remind the community that issue 41 has that almost Hulk 180, 181 type of cameo, and that very last page spread is worth checking out. All right, now we're at the list at number 8, Comic Fam, and we're looking at Amazing Fantasy issue number 1. Let's welcome another book from the trending list over to the hot list because we have Araña, which is Spanish for spider, and the identity of Araña Corazon. This character has now become one of the spec of choice post Olivia Wilde getting news that she was going to be the director of an upcoming Spider something. Will it be Silk? Will it be Jessica Drew? We don't know, but the community is now specking on Araña. Let's take a look at the numbers. We have multiple new all-time record breakers this week. A 9.8 of this issue would traditionally go for $360. That is up to $400 this week. We also have a new 9.6 record that was traditionally selling for $200, now going for $240, and I expect that to exceed $250 by next week. And we also have new highs for 9.2s going for $135. It's going to be a substantial time before we find out any news about this particular franchise. It's pretty cool to see some speculation for a more affordable key in the Spider-Verse.
A ton of new comics on the list this week. You have that Amazing Fantasy #1. And #7 on the list, we have Fightin' 5, issue 40, the first appearance of Peacemaker. Man, DC fandom had a ton of reveals. Tom got to do an exclusive Black Adam teaser trailer. We got to see the Batman trailer. We got to see the Suicide Squad video game and the James Gunn directed movie, which features John Cena as the Peacemaker. Not only is there hype on the character because of that, but there's also an HBO Max series that Gunn is directing starring Peacemaker as well. So this book's got a lot going for it. It's a 12-center Silver Age book, and let's take a look at what it's been selling for. Now remember, it's a Silver Age book, so since the news broke, we've seen a restored 9.8 sale, which sold for $700, not always a purple label of death. That's actually the highest price that this comic book has ever sold for.
Can you believe that there's only 21 graded copies of this book on the census? I don't think anybody was specking on Peacemaker.
Yeah, that's why we've only seen that one resto sale. There just aren't a lot of these copies going around.
Now at #6 on the list, we have one of the most important keys from the Silver Age. We have Fantastic Four issue number 52, the first appearance of Black Panther. We saw a slew of Black Panther sales over this last month, post the very sudden and sad death of Chadwick Boseman. And this month, we're seeing continued interest in one of the biggest Jack Kirby keys.
Yeah, we've seen some Black Panther related books on the list since his untimely passing. It makes sense that we're seeing the first appearance of T'Challa himself with this Silver Age FF52.
We actually saw a record breaker for an 8.5 this week that would typically sell for $3,600. That's now up to $3,840. Substantial gains. And that's not all. We actually saw a 4.0 copy that would traditionally go for $575 sell for a new record of $680. And a 3.5 copy that's up from $500 to $525. Small gains, but members are looking for any copy they can get, regardless of how low grade it is.
All right, guys, we're halfway through this list. Hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you can see these videos every week.
Oh, heck, be sure to be following GemMint too. Hit the link in the description and go follow GemMint Collectibles.
And we're talking about one of my favorite books, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 1, first appearance of Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, Michelangelo, Shredder, and Splinter. There were a ton of private sales that went down on this book in this last week, and thankfully key collectors on the lookout for those sales as well. Let's look and see what this book has done. So last week, two 9.4s came out to the market and sold for $31,000 and $32,500. Big jumps from the last GPA sale, which was only $17,250.
Comic fam, use that code Tom101 over on Key Collector Comics, available on both Android and iPhones. It'll keep you updated on all things comics, including this very list that we're covering. But you get access to this private sales data. This is essential information to consider when you're investing this kind of money in comic books.
Yeah, because even I use GPA, which a lot of collectors use, but they only track eBay sales. They don't even track Comic Link, Comic Connect, Heritage, or private transactions. So you're really going to miss out if you're not in the loop here. We have another 9.4 copy that changed hands this week and sold at a record-breaking $33,000. And you can kind of tell that that Universal Blue label is starting to command a premium because a CGC 9.2 purple label, that's right, a restored copy, sold for $15,565. Tom, how much lower do purple labels typically sell compared to their unrestored counterparts?
Well, GPA is saying $17,000 for that 9.4, $15,500 for a purple label. I mean, it is a lower grade, but depending on just how severe the resto is, we're typically seeing like a 60% discount for books like that.
Yeah, so you can see that this purple label is really close to the blue label around that same grade range.
And now we're over here looking at an independent book at #4. We gotta phone in some help. Our first guest on the Hot 10 Comics List show. Now, taking a look at the list at #4, we have a big surprise in the comic book market over this last 2 weeks. We had our first independent comic that came out the gates that made its way to the hot list. And not only that, not only was it selling for $300 out the gate, it's selling for an average of $620 right now. We're talking about Hero Trade, courtesy of Bad Idea. And I had to get more info. I had to find out what was the genius behind getting this to stores and causing such a buzz. And I got the owner, Dinesh Shamdasani, how you doing? Thanks for joining me today.
Good, man. Thanks for having me, man. I'm very excited to be talking about this book. It's crazy. It's crazy what's been happening with this book, huh?
Dude, everybody's talking about it. I'm seeing it all over the internet, and stores are getting excited. So first off, we got to explain the button. You released this button that you can click on social that once you hit to a certain point, it unlocks things, and then you're publishing it?
Yes, this button just took over Bad Idea. It will not let us publish until we get it 1 billion clicks, force us to make the website. People have been clicking, and we're at like 950 million, so we're almost there.
All right, so the clicks came in and you had to produce. Then this comic book showed up at stores and the store owners weren't even expecting it. Can you explain? Because I think that buzz is what caused these spikes.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what we did is we trolled everybody, right? We built a sneaker drop. We said at 800 million clicks, the button's going to release the first comic book. No one believed us. We hit 800 million. We said it's in stores now. It's called the Hero Trade. Here's every store. Here's every store's number. Even the stores didn't know about it. So they also were like, we don't know what they're talking about. Then we showed a picture of the book and everyone was like, oh my God, I've seen that thing. And then this race happened and the book is just, it's been crazy since then.
We're seeing highs of $800 right now. And as of today recording it, we're seeing like over 4 sales alone. Comic fam, you got to take a look at this. I'm going to put the social in the description for you to follow Bad Idea, because I don't think that this is the only thing up Dinesh's sleeve. And I'm curious, this creative team is very impressive.
Yeah, we're so lucky, man. Comic royalty, David Lapham, comic superstar Matt Kinn, and they were so game, man. I mean, and that's the great thing about the book is David's art. He's a genius, but on the surface, you don't know. When you really look at it, you're like, oh my God, it's Dave Lapham. This is crazy good. And we fooled everyone. It's been fun.
Is it true that there's under 250 of these printed?
Yes, and there's probably less in existence, unfortunately. We sent 154 out to the 154 locations that are Bad Idea stores. We had about 4 stores order more copies, about 60 copies, and then there's been a couple damages. So it's been about 250 copies. However, a bunch of stores didn't know what this was. It was sitting in their stores for 3 weeks. They threw it away.
I was actually chatting with Russ about that very thing. He mentioned that this is a recipe to have it be missed. There's going to be comic shops that don't even realize that this was sent to them. Comic fam, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, because you know I'm going to be bringing on the members of the community that are causing a shake to the market. I appreciate you being on here, Dinesh.
Thanks, Tom. And as always, geek responsibly.
Wow, for our first guest, you picked a hell of a guest.
We had to go Hollywood for that one, man. You know he's currently producing Gideon Falls?
What? I love that run.
I know, man. That's why I mentioned it. Now, comic fam, like and subscribe, and let me know what you think about this list so far, because I'll enter you to win a Wolverine #1 Antioch Lee variant. And let's chat about some more mutant goodness. At the list of number 3, we have Giant Size X-Men #1. We chatted 2 weeks ago about the all-time record at the Heritage auction sale for that white page quality 9.8, hitting $19,200. Well, we have some other news to report on that's pretty exciting. Proving this week that page quality is becoming more and more valuable to collectors in 2020, we saw a off-white page copy of a 9.8 sell for $18,075. That is just shy of a little under $1,000 of the all-time record sale for a white page copy. What do you think about that, Gem?
I think that if this book had white pages, we might have seen a $20,000 sale.
I have to agree with you there, Gem. And that's not all. We saw records for other grades of this book. We have a 7.0 hitting all new highs, up from $2,400 to $2,500. And let's take a look at the low grade copies. We actually have a low grade copy setting new records, a 2.0 that would likely go for right around the $800 mark this time a couple months ago, is now going for near $1,000 at $975.
With Giant Size X-Men coming in at number 3, it's only right that we have Incredible Hulk 181 coming in at number 2, the first full appearance of Wolverine. May not have been the first time that Wolverine graced the page of a comic book, but it's the book that the market has dictated to be the Wolverine key. It's been making record-breaking sales in multiple grades. Everybody's trying to rush and scoop up a copy before we get news of Wolverine in the MCU. At the Comic Link focused auction, we saw a 9.4 copy hit 5 figures, breaking its all-time record, selling at $12,305. We also saw a record for a 7.5 copy on eBay that sold for $4,020. Not only is this book selling well in high grade, but collectors are trying to scoop this up at any entry level they can possible, including raw copies, which you got to be careful for because that Marvel value stamp, a lot of those were cut out from kids in the 70s, and you want to make sure you don't scoop one of those and get the dreaded green label of death. We're seeing raw copies selling at $2,500, and even those incomplete qualified green labels selling for $2,600 at a 7.0. Heritage Platinum Session signature auction that Tom mentioned, we saw a CGC 9.8 white pager sell for $49,200. Again, almost $10,000 higher than the previous record. The only exception was a Mile High 2, a pedigree copy sold on Comic Link in early 2019 for $59,000. Tom, what do you think that bad boy would sell for right now in today's market?
Oh man, Gem. I mean, I would guess that book would clear $75,000. I mean, it's one of the safest blue chip books that exists. Not even Amazing Fantasy 15 has kept up with these types of gains.
Yeah, and collectors are also putting a lot of stock into the quality of a book. Once you start spending this type of money, not all 9/8 are created equally. So we're looking at printed copies that have brighter, more vibrant reds. Centering is a huge thing. The wrap of the book, and of course the page quality becoming more important than ever for collectors dropping this type of dough. We're even seeing a bigger interest in date stamps, which CGC does not mark off for, and it gives the book a little bit of uniqueness on when that comic shop owner stamped the book with July 31st, 1974. What do you think about date stamps?
You know what's fun is that this is a conversation I've had amongst the group and buddies for years. We all really like them. I mean, it's pretty common to find out that collectors actually kind of favor that little piece of history on their book. You know, it's added. It could be considered damage to some collectors if there is a date stamp that was added to that cover. But others, and even myself, look at it like an added piece of history that you're getting. And I'm all for it.
I wonder if collectors would feel that same way if CGC marked off for date stamps.
Curious things. I mean, we're talking about 9.8s having their own kind of subcategory of interest levels when you get to certain prices. The well goes deep. Now we're at the list at number 1. Comic Fam, hit that subscribe, slap that like button, enter to win the giveaway because I want to know what you think about all these comic books. We had some very interesting picks that were on the Hot 10 on Key Collector Comics. And let's chat about number 1. Yo, Gem, I'm feeling pretty good right now because this book was the first one on our review video just last week. We have Avengers number 8, the first appearance of the time-traveling menace, Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah, man, the hype is back for Kang. There was a lot of hype going into Avengers Endgame. People thought he had to show up there with the time-traveling aspect, and now it's there again. They have to use him in Fantastic Four, right?
We know the first Marvel family is going to be hitting the screen at some point. Naturally, Kang is a great villain to suggest when in conversations about them, but we are hearing rumors about an Ant-Man 3 appearance and that Jonathan Majors of Lovecraft Country is going to be taking on this role.
There's a rumor out there I want to ask you about. You might be joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Kang the Conqueror. Now you tell me if this is true, right?
It's just you and me?
Oh, yeah.
Man, I heard the same thing, bro. We apparently have the same source, because I heard it too. So.
Oh, my God.
Now, this is only rumors, it's not confirmed, and it's kind of strange, don't you think?
Yeah, if they use him for Ant-Man 3, I hope it's just like an introduction type of thing. You know, kind of like the blip, the time-traveling aspect from phase, 3? So maybe if they introduce him there and he becomes something more in the Fantastic Four franchise, I would like to see. But I don't want to see like a Yellow Jacket situation.
Same here. He's too cool of a character to be underutilized. However, the community is aggressively picking up what copies they can get. This book would go for $700 this time last year in a 7.5. We saw this book sell for $1,560 this past week. And that right there is very, very surprising gains. But it kept going, Comic Fam. We now have a new record up to $21.95 for this comic in this grade. And of course, because the 7.5 has new highs, we are seeing a slew of sales and record breakers for lower grades. We're seeing 7.0s go for $1,250, 6.0s hit $1,000, 4.5s hit $600, and the lowest grade we can find at a 0.5 still sold for $185. Now, Gem, you mentioned the Fantastic Four. Why don't you hit them with some crazy numbers on that number 1?
Yeah, since it's not made the list yet, let's talk about what it's been doing in the market, man. Fantastic Four had a 7.5 copy that went from its previous record of $48,000 up to $69,000. We also saw a jump in 7.0, which went from $40,800 to $45,000, and then a 3.0, which I guess you would say entry level for this book. It went from $9,750 to $11,500. So we're seeing a lot of gains in this book in all grades. Actually, a 2.0 went from $8,000 to $9,699. So people are trying to grab onto this any grade they can.
A decade ago, you could get 2 O's and 2 5s for below $3,000, Comic Fam. You gotta be up on the market, and you can do that by hitting the subscribe button. And, as always,
Eat responsibly.
Enough said. Comic Fam, how'd you like that video? I think it was pretty alright. And we have other videos over here for you to check out. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you.